That's not the first time you've done that. Gray didn't take his eyes off the road. First time I've done what? Lied to somebody, like Vasquez. Gray flicked his headlights on. We had been driving for hours and were now somewhere in Utah. The Californian front sat out in the darkness to our west. I think he's calling me a liar, Mr. Bear. The dog made a pleased snuffle as Gray rubbed his ears. Mr. Bear says it takes one to know one, Henry. My mind spun for a denial, but if Gray planned on turning me over to Vasquez, he would have done it by now. When do you know? Pretty much right away, Gray said. You're slick, I'll give you that, but not half as much as you think. So what's the story? You a capture? I nodded. About 6 years ago. Why run now? Commander decided I should be helping give people the choice. Gray downshifted as we came up a steep rise. He the one who did the work on your face? One of his men, yeah. And now you're trying to get to New York. Gray started to say something, but pulled it back and shook his head. What? Gray glanced over at me. Look, things may not be perfect here, but over in the Fed, do you even have any idea what the world was like before Hill? Gray held up his hand before I could say a word. Course you don't. What are you, 12? I'm 15. Whatever. Back then, we were smack dab in the middle of 3 wars and a depression that was getting ready to celebrate its 10th birthday. And you think anybody was trying to do anything about it? Heck no. Before Hill came along, politicians and their buddies were raking in billions while regular folks starved in the streets. And that's still the way it is in President Burke's Fed. I bet there are folks over there right now who are so rich they barely even know there's a war going on and wouldn't care if they did. The cab lit up red as brake lights flared in front of us. Oh man, not this again. Gray's air brakes squealed as he brought us to a shaking stop in the middle of the road. Bear stood up to peer out the window as we sat there, engine rumbling. This had happened throughout the day. Scouts at the front would see something and the whole convoy would stop, waiting for the bomb team to check the road for IEDs. Every time it happened, tension settled over the convoy like a fog. Gray tapped the fingers of one hand on the big steering wheel, while the other lay ready on his gear shift. I could feel the entire convoy leaning forward and waiting, fingers on triggers, muscles taut. They always find them? I asked. Last run I did, a troop carrier ran smack into one of those new ones the Brits are sending over. A bloodier mess you've never seen. 20 men torn to shreds. The British are helping the feds? It's all hush-hush since Hill promised any foreign country caught interfering is getting a nuke for their trouble. But yeah, they're helping. Just can't be too obvious about it. A trio of soldiers trudged up from their places in the rear of the convoy. I sank into my seat until they passed us by. Outside, the darkness lit up from artillery fire at the front. Tremors moved through the ground and up into our bones. Bear dug himself into my side with a whine, and I stroked his side until he calmed. You think he'll win? I asked. Don't think anything, Gray said. I know. How? You ever heard Hill speak? I've read speeches. Gray scoffed. Not the same, not by a mile. I was at a rally out east near the front, and he made this surprise visit to see the boys. Gray was quiet for a moment, reaching over to scratch Bear's head while he puzzled something out. You know how you read in history books about people like George Washington and Alexander the Great, and you get to thinking that's the only place folks like that live? In books? Well, I saw Nathan Hill standing not 1 mile from the front, and I'm here to tell you he's one of them. He talked to those boys for hours, and when he was done, it was like... Gray's eyes shone as he remembered. It was like all their lives they had been living on dust, and someone finally gave them a drink of water.